All righty. Well, welcome to episode 2 of The Professors. We ain't crazy, we're licensed. And thank you to everybody who downloaded episode 1.
Yay!
All 4 of you?
Yeah, no, actually we hit 53 as of just right before now.
Shots fired to ourselves.
We were actually in like 4 different countries. But to everybody that listened and everyone else who may listen, please feel free to share this. If you want to email us, you can email us at theprofessorspodcast@yahoo.com.
And thanks to everybody that gave us feedback on our first podcast, because honestly, we came in here just noobs, and the amount of feedback that we got, constructive and just praising, was amazing.
Yes, very much so.
Yeah, no doubt. Like people saying like you encouraging me to get licensed, or I understand the fear of success, like it really resonated with people. And so that's dope.
Yeah.
It was. We got a lot of good feedback, and any suggestions for shows, please feel free to email them. We got a lot for quite a few future episodes, I think. So we'll just keep going.
Yeah.
So this episode, we are talking about the cost of being a boss.
So before we get into the episode of the cost of being the boss, what are you drinking today, Mark?
Oh, well, I am drinking a Stella or 2.
Nice. I'm not sure if everybody knows this, but the whole point of us doing this podcast was us drinking as well. So we'll be doing that and saying, so if anything comes out sideways, that's part of it. I'm going to take ownership of everything that comes out of my mouth, but that's part of it.
Well, I think that's part of the reason the language changes progressively throughout the podcast as well.
Facts. Speaking of which, I think you got to put a explicit advisory thing on
it.
It
was already on there.
Yes.
Oh, wow.
I have a hoodie that says that, so it's perfect.
That was the first thing I put down.
I was so excited.
Okay, maybe next time
material.
Stella would sponsor us. Just putting the word out there.
Oh, that'd be nice.
I'm just drinking a drink that I got at the liquor store.
A twisted peach.
Yo, don't put me out there like that drinking this, because
Or
I'm like, people are gonna hear me, and
it was not.
I will get my card taken away. Because you came for me too last time saying I was drinking White Claw, and I never
did.
Yeah, that's true. And I know you've never drank White Claw, but that beer you drank that one time looked like a White Claw.
But it wasn't.
That's true. It wasn't.
Yeah. All right. So the cost of being a motherfucking boss.
That's right. Followed also too by The World Owes You Nothing, which, to be fair, these both play into each other, because one is about what it takes to be successful. The other is you're not entitled to anything. And I think they're very important. I know I talked to a lot of my students about these things, and you've got to put the work in. I think all of us have put a lot of work in to get where we're at, and you got to be willing to do it. But nobody really talks about the price.
Right.
What does it really cost to put that work in? I know for myself, it's been time away from the family and time away from kids.
Yeah.
And I'd imagine you guys have similar stories with that.
What about you, Shamika?
Well, the sacrifices, like you said, time away from the kids. That the other thing is you can't be a boss without taking a loss, which you can make it a learning lesson, but you do take a loss, And so I remember I had one a few weeks ago, and I was like, damn, like a business thing, and it went left. And I was like, you know what? I cry and then I boss up, like this is a part of the game, good, bad, or indifferent. And so when you've made it, it's still going to be some stumbling blocks to it,
How do you find the lessons in those things when the business goes sideways?
Like, don't do that shit again. Like you knew better.
I know that's right.
Yeah.
Listen to that voice. Because realistically, I knew better in terms of what I should not be connecting with this person to do this very thing. And I was like, no, I'm gonna give them a chance, that kind of thing. And yeah, it bit me in the ass. And I just was like, look, I take the loss, and next time you know better, but just don't stop. Just keep going. But yeah, you will take a loss at some point.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I've taken several.
Yeah.
I still taking L's to this day, up until this point right now. But I was sick with the flu for the last week. And I've been binge watching the House of the Dragon or House of Dragons or
Nice.
whatever. Yeah. So no, coming into this episode of The World Owes You Nothing,
Mhm.
and then watching how in cinema or pop culture or even old history, when people are kind of told that they're entitled to the throne, they're entitled to this because your name's attached to this, kind of like old money, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Does that
Yeah.
make sense?
Yeah.
And it was just, it's very interesting in how, I mean, I can talk about Game of Thrones all day, but how everybody just wants a piece of what they feel they are entitled to. And I feel like there's a big difference between those that have earned their way
Right.
to those that, okay, just break me off some. I'm good. Like,
Right.
do you know who the fuck I am?
Yeah.
Go ahead and hook me up. I don't need to do this.
Yeah.
And it's infuriating because I have plenty of students and everything else that that's a very hard concept for people to understand. And I'm not coming out here on some boomer shit either,
Yeah.
like saying, hey, you gotta work till you're fucking
Yeah.
dead. I'm not saying that, but just basic stuff is blowing my mind that people just don't feel they have to do.
Yeah. And I can see that with the students that I teach. And surprisingly for me, it happens a lot more in the master's program that I teach in,
Really?
where I guess that maybe I expect it from my undergraduate students.
Okay.
And so when you're at the master's level and you pull some shit, and I'm like, you're in a master's program.
Yeah.
You know, you've got to be accountable for things. I don't owe you an extension just because you were sick. You know, that sounds like a you problem, not a me problem. You knew when the deadline was. And again, undergraduates are just adjusting to higher education and everything. We're in a fucking master's program.
Right.
You know, I know in my doctoral program when like I had to stay on top of things. Didn't matter if I was sick. I had to get it in by the due date. When I was working on my dissertation, if there were deadlines I had to meet them. And there was just no room to say, well, you know, my cat died, so I can't really do that this week. I had to get it done, you know? And it's amazing to me that happens as frequently as it does.
I think it's a difficult balance, though, to do
for
that.
sure.
I want to say probably this semester I've been cool as a cucumber with these students.
Have you?
Yeah.
Real chill.
Real chill up until,
Okay.
I like to say this to my staff too, so shout out to my staff, but we're cool till we're not cool.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? And you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So when the student, I'm all about communication. If somebody didn't do something because their cat died, their dog ate their homework, but if you communicate that to me in real time, I'll fucks with you.
Right.
I'll help you out.
Yeah, legit.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Right.
But then weeks go on and then you want to go back and say, oh yeah, I had this really bad, whatever the hell it was. I need you to, I need you to. It's like, okay, everybody has me fucked up.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody here in the room has me fucked up.
Yeah.
Some shit get real.
Yeah. And, you know, I'm the same way where if you come to me straight with what it is, hey, you know, and I had a couple students already this semester in the undergraduate program I teach, and that came to me. They'd made a pretty big mistake, but they came up like right after, and both of them were like, no, we fucked up.
Mm-hmm.
No excuse. They didn't tell me about, you know, their second cousin's brother's friend died in an automobile accident and then Haley's Comet flew over. None of that shit, right? It was, no, we fucked up. And that's what it was. And I'm like, I can work with that.
It's so much respect that goes into that. So much respect. And I hate when, I feel bad when people come talk to me in my office if I have to like discipline them. You know what I mean? And because it's either going to come one or two ways, right? They're going to be like, yep, this is what it is. And I mean, like, I shouldn't just say to my office, my kid, to my bedroom, to wherever,
wherever.
Right. And I have the utmost respect for people that will just give it to me raw of, listen, Casey, I fucked up.
Yeah.
Royally fucked up. Yeah, I did that. I can work with that all day. But the other of
BSing you?
Yeah.
Yeah. Absolutely not.
Can't hustle a hustler.
No, you can't. They say you can't play slick to a can of oil.
Oh, shit.
I like that one.
Sorry, guys, it's hard.
Yeah, no, seriously. And like you said, it's just not at work, but at home or wherever else, because there are people that do feel entitled to things. Like you don't have to do much. But I guess it's, for me, the other end of the spectrum of there are people that wake up and shit is just at your disposal. So a lot of times I stopped saying that my kids are privileged, because I used to say that a lot. Like, oh, they're so privileged. They're so this. And I was like, what if they're just really living their rightful life, you know, like for certain things?
Yes.
Because some people do wake up and this is just right here, you know? And then there's some that you have to hustle your ass off just to get halfway through the door. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But then that's the part of the cost of being a boss. Like, there is work in this. Like, all of us, we didn't just wake up and it was like, oh, here you go, you know?
Yeah.
Right.
No, there's so much I want to say to that, friend. So much. And I lost my train of thought. So go ahead, Mark, because I forgot what I was going to say.
So, you know, it's interesting because you use the word privilege when it comes to your kids, right?
Yeah.
That you no longer say that they're privileged. And I think that's important because, you know, you're doing what parents really want to do is you want to provide your kids a better life than you had growing up. That's the goal of parenting right there. And it's not necessarily a privilege.
Right.
Because you had to work for it either way.
Yeah.
You know, they're benefiting from good fortune. But my guess is you're also instilling the value of hard work in them because you're not letting them just, you know,
skate on by.
Yeah. You know, they still have to be accountable. They're not entitled. They're accountable for their decisions. And that's a big thing. You know, I know for my kids, they're little, but we still try to hold them accountable for the things that matter. And, you know, I want them to grow up in a way better than I did. And they're on track for that, you know. And I think my childhood was pretty good. It wasn't great.
Right.
But it also, you know, I grew up knowing I needed to work hard. I needed to work for pretty much anything I had, you know. And so, but those are valuable lessons.
Yeah.
You know.
I remembered what I was going to say.
Cool.
Don't you guys remember being younger? And I don't know how your outlook on life was when it came to working, but I think it was just, for me, it was instilled that you can have a job and a partner and you're going to have a 2-person income and everything's going to be hunky-dory and all that stuff. And then it wasn't until, I think before we started teaching, right? Newly separated, pending divorce. And then the teaching opportunity came up. And I'm like, man, they got me fucking out here. Like, I'm already doing this work. And now, like, I'm going to have to stretch myself out further. But then once I stepped out of that zone of getting into my head of like, you're only supposed to have one job, which I don't know where that came from, honestly. I have no idea. And
the one job thing?
Yeah. Like, I don't know. But now it's like people just make fun, like, how many hustles do you have now?
I can't even count anymore.
I mean, too many.
Yeah.
Seriously.
Too many.
Yeah.
Yeah. But.
Well, and, you know, the one job thing was probably comes from that boomer generation where.
Damn them.
You only had,
God.
you know, if you had one income, there was sufficient money to go around to raise a household where we've grown up in a time where that hasn't been the case. You know, you've needed 2 incomes to really survive since the late 80s and on. And, you know, so we've all, I think, grown up with that where, you know, it's, you've got to work. And,
yeah. I mean, I don't know if you guys knew this too. I only took the teaching job to finance my Star Wars convention fund. That's the only reason why I took it.
Shut up.
I put that on everything.
Exclusive?
Yeah.
That's what that is right now.
I opened up a whole separate bank account just for the college stuff. And every time that I get a check, it goes into that. And so when I go,
What?
I swear, that's all. That's
so
all
you go out ball into these things, you're like $100 bills.
But that's
Making
the thing.
it rain?
Yes, because that's the cost of being the
Come
boss,
here,
though, right?
R2D2.
Hello?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because when I want to go to a convention, and if nobody knows me about this, I love me some Star Wars, boy. And I love me some Star Wars tattoos. And the shit's expensive.
Mhm.
But it's nice. And I don't like going to a convention and having to count my chips because,
Yeah.
oh, you know what I mean? And I'm not balling out of control either. So putting the effort to take time away from my family, take time away from everything to do a
Right.
second job because I want to be able to just live.
Yeah.
That's a sacrifice. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
Yeah. And now it's turned into, I'm only going to do it for this semester and it's done now. But then
Here you are.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Star Wars
years
hasn't stopped it. Yeah.
5 years later.
Exactly.
Well, I enjoy teaching. I enjoy interacting with the students and everything. If I could find a way to do it without actually having to look at some of the work, I'd be even better off, but
Facts as fuck.
that is one of the costs, is you have to sift through a shitload of bad papers and to get to some that are actually somewhat enjoyable.
You know
But-
what's funny?
What?
And I don't mean to cut you off, Mark.
No, you're
But
good.
you know what's funny? This week, or maybe last week, my class had the module of gatekeeping, and it was the video that we three
Oh,
did.
nice.
Really?
Yes, I still
I
have it.
remember that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's always interesting because that we talked almost this entire podcast. We could
That's
just
like the
uploaded that.
pilot episode.
Exactly. It was our pilot episode for sure.
Wow.
And to hear
What?
the students say some shit about, like how some of them, like that's not fair, which being on the other end of that, like, yeah, I used to think that way too, of the gatekeeping. But then the other ones kind of got it where it was, no, you have to prove yourself. And it's not proving yourself to your peers, but you have to prove yourself that you're going to be a decent human being to do the kind of work that we do.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
the accountability
Yeah,
too, though.
absolutely.
And self-reflection
Yeah.
too. I'm just really tripping still that how you were introduced to the teaching. Like literally, it was just for this thing, like the conference.
Yeah.
That's crazy. For me, the teaching was recommended that I do it. And it was recommended because I guess the person seen something in me.
Yeah.
Right. And said, like, I think you would be good at this and we need some diversity. And so for me, it was more of I want to teach because I want you to see something real, in my Kendrick Lamar voice.
Hey. Damn. Yeah.
Like I want to, because when I was in school, I didn't see that, like I had one professor and it was a Black woman and her name was Alicia and she was the shit.
Really?
Oh, yes. Oh, yes. Like in Detroit, like she had nonprofits. She was she had her doctorate. She was everything. And she drove a Lexus. Yeah. And so when I see her, I was like, I want to be like Alicia.
But I mean, low key, you are now.
Yeah.
Stop.
And maybe even more so, though.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Mark, we're literally sitting
Shut up.
in the honor of the Queen of Detroit. I don't know if you knew that
I
shit.
know.
The Queen of Detroit, right fucking here.
I know.
Ah, hell.
Oh, damn. What?
Mhm.
I really didn't get that until now. But you know what I mean? Looking up to someone. And
Right.
again, that's that hope, and seeing a boss. She was a boss.
Yeah.
And again, I remember volunteering at her organization. I was like, oh, she got it. And then, damn, now having my own
Organizations.
organizations.
With the S,
Wow,
plural.
That's crazy.
But that's what's interesting. What you just said was that you looked up to Alicia for that. And every time we speak of any of this shit, every single time, and I don't know if you realize this, you keep speaking on how you want to be that beacon for all the little Black girls in Detroit. I'm telling you, Mark,
I know.
she's
I
That's
know.
crazy.
full circle. What about you? You have a
So,
hello, somebody out there?
Hello.
Mentor.
Is it
So
me
I-
you're looking
during my
for?
master's program,
The Obi to your Luke Skywalker. Go ahead.
God, there was a few. A a lot of the professors I had, I stayed in contact with because, you know, I saw different things in each of them that really spoke to me, you know? And so part of my motivation to keep pushing forward and everything is I feel like not only do I want to hit their level, but I really don't want to let them down.
Oh.
You know? And so when the opportunity to teach came along, it actually came along at the right time because I was transitioning from working in community mental health to going into my private practice. And I'm like,
Dr. Brana's in the house, everybody. Doctor.
The doctor is in. You know? But yeah, so I was like, okay, so this will help kind of stabilize some income as I'm building my practice. And that was really the reasoning behind it. I didn't think I'd be doing it quite this long or that I'd enjoy it as much as I do. But yeah, you know, as far as mentors and everything, I think there's several of them that used to teach at where I did my master's program that are still in the community. And actually, I'm pretty sure the person that downloaded us in Luxembourg was one of those people. Shout out to Dr. Carter.
Wow.
What's up, Dr. Carter?
Hey,
because
Mr. Carter.
his no nonsense attitude really sat very impressively with me because we were in class and I remember one of the students that was in this particular class had either they had their own nonprofit agency already and they were trying to just get licensed as a therapist or something. Fuck. And they thought they knew more than Dr. Carter. And Dr. Carter just told them, he goes, you know, nobody gives a fuck what you think because you haven't earned it yet.
Fuck. For real?
He's like, you are still here getting your degree.
What's up?
He goes, everybody else here that you see in front of you has already gotten their shit. And I was like, I like this guy.
Yeah, speak on that
but
shit.
it was and he didn't talk to students that frankly very often. You had to get him pretty worked up.
Yeah.
But when he did,
he let your ass have it.
Yeah. You know, and I'll never forget that, like that interaction. And I was like, I like this guy. You know?
But that's a great example of gatekeeping though. And like a perfect one one that I could, if somebody checked me like that, boy, real straight up.
Right.
Like I'm about to get real fucking serious.
Yeah,
now.
he dad voiced her and everything.
Oh shit, for real?
And look at you.
Yeah. It was an accident.
Full circle.
Yeah, with the dad voice and all, and the doctor.
Yeah,
that's right.
You got me fucked up, boy.
Yeah.
Wow.
I don't think I mean, I shouldn't say this. Almost every professor that I had in my grad program was amazing. And every single one of them gave me something that I'm going to be able to take with me. And I think I learned quite a bit during my first practicum, first internship in grad school is where I met like a core group of therapists that just were like us. You know what I mean? And one of them now is my best friend, Aaron. What's up, Aaron Jones? STL, St. Louis. But she was the one that I kind of saw. She was doing all kinds of shit. You know what I mean? Like she was working for this agency that we both did. She was doing stuff with Cassette.
Oh.
She was doing the most. And I'm like, where do you get the time to do this shit? But then I saw the benefits that she was able to provide her family by stepping out of her zone. You know what I mean? And
walking as a boss.
Yeah, and there's just certain things that, I mean, little things too. And this is going to sound silly, but your girl I don't do labor. I don't do shit like that. Like I don't put things together. I don't do anything like that. And her and I went to this other company to start. And she's like putting together her own fucking bookshelf. And I was like, the fuck?
Yeah.
She's like, no, we're going to do everything ourselves. Like, this is us.
But that's that grit and hard work that people don't see. Like they see the benefits, but like behind the scenes, like, you really do be hustling.
For sure. And so being able to see a peer being that gun-ho and me and kind of pushing me out of my comfort zone. I mean, and not like she shoved me, but just I was just watching, you know, like almost like little sister, like, okay, I can, you know, do stuff like that. And we were planning a trip. We're planning a trip to Nashville And I was telling her, I'm like, oh shit, I forgot to tell you I'm doing these extra 2 classes, so I got to get this stuff done. And she's like, man, I forgot exactly what she said, but like, I'm digging the hustle. And it almost like it made me tear up because she has no
She's
idea like how much she did that for me. That was the same person that walked me down the aisle, FYI, too.
Okay.
What?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. On some real shit.
Full circle.
Full circle. And then
Wow.
even with that, going back just a little bit more, the song that I walked out to was Princess Leia's theme song, which was almost like a homage to every strong bad bitch I've ever grew up seeing and being able to take the essence of all of them, like my mom, my granny, stories that my friend Erin told of her mom, everybody, my friends that that just kind of were there, just help me out and give me the push. Like that was for everybody to walk out there. And then I was talking to my dad because I was saying, Dad, I'm sorry that, you didn't get to walk me down the aisle. I said, but it meant so much to have this strong female representation of like, this is what it's going to take to do what you want. And mind you, I paid for that with all my Star Wars money too.
Okay.
That was one of those things. I just let it all go. But yeah, but that was one of those, I don't know. It's just pretty amazing.
Dang, that's a powerful statement.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, that is. And your wedding had Star Wars theme, so I guess it makes sense it would come out of that account, But, I think role models are very important to us as we start looking towards how do we get where we need to go. I know for me, like professors I've had, but also other people I've encountered along the way just in life have set the tone that I have not seen anybody that's been successful and built anything that hasn't put a ton of work into getting there. And that's where I find that some of the students I encounter and some other people too that are new to the field that I'm supervising and everything, if things have just been handed to them, it's a struggle when it's like, no, you got to put some work in. You need to learn your shit. You need to know your shit. You need to get there.
Because school's just the beginning of it.
Yeah.
I mean, like, not even the beginning of it, but like, it's the bare minimum to me. What do you think?
Well, I think when you are building though from the ground up, you have a different aspect of like what things look like because you were the worker at some point
Right.
and then you became the boss. You know what I mean? Like you just immediately the boss. You don't give a fuck. You don't appreciate the hard work that goes into it. But you can look at people and be like, no, I understand because I remember doing that, you know? And so even like what my organization at Emma's house, like I was the accountant. I was the janitor. I was, I was the secretary. I was doing 15 things, And so now when I have people come in and they're doing that stuff, like I really appreciate them and value them because I know what that looks like. And I feel like you can miss some steps if you don't start as a worker per se, because then you don't appreciate it. Then it's entitled, I feel like.
Oh, for
you
sure.
just immediately shoot up.
Yeah.
You're like, no, I remember taking the trash out.
I also think though it keeps you humble.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I feel like I'm always going to be a worker bee.
Yeah.
I always like I know I'm a boss, but I look at it as like I'm part of a team. Like even though that's my team, I'm the one that's in there too still. You know what I mean? And I think that I know that humbles me quite a bit.
Yeah.
Like, a lot. I don't know about you guys, but
No, I'm lazy.
You better stop. And when I meant the stuff by the school too, because I said last time, school's not for everybody and everybody goes on their own path. But I was just specifically speaking about therapists. That's all I meant by that. I wanted to clarify that before I get read for filth on anything. So comments,
mail.
No, I don't want that. But
pull up if you want to. Pull up if you want to.
The Professor's Podcast at yahoo.com.
Glasses gang.
We will read hate mail on there.
Or pull up where I live.
It'll be like
that too.
It'll be like the mean tweet segment.
Yeah. But I'll be sitting here crying like,
See, and for me, I guess, like with that stuff, I kind of laugh when I get that feedback. I don't know, because to me, it's like, okay, every time it's come, it's never really been constructive. So it's not anything I can use.
Oh, the feedback from
yeah,
students?
the negative feedback from like students or whatever.
God damn.
We could talk, man.
Because to me, if it's not useful, I don't give a shit.
They don't give a fuck, Mark.
Oh, I know.
They
That's
don't.
that's
Those
why I
fucking
laugh.
evaluations.
Yeah. But that's the whole thing. They may not give a shit. And to be honest, I really don't give a shit. Where I'll read them and I'm like, well, see you in another class, motherfucker.
But see, I didn't used to be like that. Like now I could take it and really see it for what it is. But starting out, no, I didn't have tough skin. Like they were in there like, I hate her voice. I'm like, really, bitch? Like, or they were like, it feels like therapy. Well, it's not, but bitch, I am a therapist. So how do you want me to sound? You know? Yeah. But like you said, it was never constructive criticism. It was more like personal attack. Like, I hate her. You know, like, really, bitch, what I do to you? But it's crazy because it would be 50 good things. And that one, I would be stuck on like, they said they didn't like my braids. You know, like
that negative
my
filter.
Edges.
Boy. Say your name. Come forward so I can read your shit. Right.
I know who you are. But again, that takes time though to be like, this isn't even about me. This shit ain't even personal because you're not even saying anything about the, you know what I mean, the core of the class or the values that I'm teaching. That it's more personal. Right. Because you felt like I did something you didn't like. I don't know. You know, like, what do you want me to do about my voice? I'm just confused.
I got put on Front Street for like not returning email. What? I talk too crass. How about that shit?
Which that's funny because
that?
Like if either of you guys saw me like in class, especially the Psych 101 class when I'm teaching it, like I'm cursing in there as I'm going. Know. And yeah.
Listen, I don't want to get started with you two because when I put that shit out there, it's always like, oh, Professor Green and Professor Brana are so amazing. And then, man, fuck you, Casey. Be like that. And I'm like,
that's not entirely true because one of my drug and alcohol interns had your class and he really enjoyed the classes he had with you. Yeah.
You said really?
Yeah. Yeah. He said he learned a lot.
Is he doing well in his assessments?
Yeah. He's doing great. He's fully licensed now.
No shit.
Yeah.
Look at that. Yeah. Hey, good.
I didn't know that. Thank you.
Look at that. Yeah. Bad bitch.
Yeah. But watch, it's going to be a student that told me to fuck off probably at the same time.
Right. I hate you.
Not to my face.
Oh, that's fine. It's like ripping off a Band-Aid to read that shit.
Yeah. Yeah, for the longest, it was like, slowly getting into the reading. Again, it's 50 good things, and then the one just stands out. Like,
yeah,
it was a bore.
I gotta
Sponsored by.
Yeah, I'm gonna always do that now.
Stella Artois.
Ooh la la.
Made in Belgium.
I agree, though.
It's the check, Stella.
Yeah, right.
For real.
Make us rich, bitch.
At this point.
I think that with those evaluations, it helps us be a better boss.
Yeah.
When it's constructive, you know. Yeah. And I think one of my students, I read one last year because I think I texted you guys saying, "Yo, I got like pretty good reviews this semester." You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And then it made me feel like, okay, I can do this. But I'm exactly like you. I can read 1,000 fucking fantastic things, and then one person. Man, that bitch never combs her hair. Like, fuck.
Right.
Throw the whole license away.
Right.
Yeah, throw the whole thing away. And it wasn't until like maybe this summer, my boss had to teach me that because long story short, we had like evaluations for whatever. We did a staff survey. And, excuse me. And there was one thing that I felt was blatantly about me. And my boss was like, but look at everything else. I'm about to cough again. Sorry, guys.
But see, this is why it's so good that we're all doing this because I feel like you guys helped me with the evaluations because I had somebody to talk to about it. You know what I mean? Because if I had to just sit with the shit by myself, like I'd have been taking that to heart. You know, like I really would have been sad about my edges. You know, like I really like.
Did they really say the edges?
No, for real. And they hated my voice.
Wow.
I can't believe they even wrote that they hated my voice.
I haven't gotten that one yet, that they hated my voice. I mean,
no. But that was interesting because my boss was like, you have to pick through, but it's almost like you have to pick through your own insecurities to weasel your way in to see what it exactly is the positive. But then I always feel like I'm a glass half full type of girl. But really, sometimes when it comes to
situational.
That's true.
You know, the context of what you're looking at, it's situational where you can be positive filtered or negative filtered, you know, where there's especially when it's like stuff that we take in and take personally, it's so much easier to be negative about. Read the negative and let that sit, you know?
Yeah.
I don't know. Like those things in particular, and maybe it has a lot to do with that whole thing that I talked about with Dr. Carter. And maybe that's really what it is. You know, it sat with me, you know, because I always think about that. If they've got something negative to say, I'm like, well, I've got my shit. I've got my paper.
Ooh. Talk your shit.
You know, so you can say what you want, but that doesn't change. I got my shit, but I'll see you in class again, motherfucker.
Damn.
Woo!
Have you guys ever failed somebody?
Yeah. Every semester.
Well, no, I'm not laughing.
No, I had a few. I had a few last semester.
Really?
Yeah, but this one might be a lot. But
I fail people in every semester.
Really?
Yeah.
I think
only once.
Really, I'm the easiest professor too. And if any of my students are watching this, like, I don't make you guys do shit.
Look at the camera.
Right.
I know, because I'm all
look directly in the camera
and let them
frazzled.
know. Let them know. No, look
Make
at the camera.
eye contact.
And let
Listen,
them know.
I am the easiest professor you will ever come in contact with in your entire career. And all I talk is real shit. My stuff.
Yeah.
Let me tell you something. I'm trying to. My classes are really geared towards real life shit. It's not the stuff that in a book, like none of that shit. And I gave the easiest project for my students this semester of assigning them a movie with a character that had a substance use problem, and then identifying the DSM-5 criteria, ASAN risk scores, diagnoses. I even did the project myself. I bitched did the project myself, and I did it on Boogie Nights Jerk Diggler. Don't at me, because it's just what it is. I'm that professor.
Love it.
Yeah.
Yes.
It was a lonely night.
You're a superstar. But then when I grade them, it was like half-assed.
Yeah, and you can tell.
Yeah, and that's the thing, because you were saying earlier about giving, you know, undergrads like are kind of getting into that, but I hold them to the same standard as like a master's student. Meaning though, like I'm not going to get on them about spelling or shit like that, but at least trying. Some people just didn't try, and I felt like it was just a kick in the face. And then it makes me want to, which works for me, because up until this point, every time a student kind of just kicks dirt in my face or says whatever, then that next semester I go in there fixing something that makes me feel like, okay, I got a grasp on this now. Like this is what this is going to be, and this is what it's going to look like, and this is what my expectations are and all that. So when they kind of half-ass it, it helps me be a better boss, because then I know where I have to tighten it up or not, or we go to gatekeeping again.
I was just about to say, that's the gatekeeping thing.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, it's going to go as far as you want it to. So if you half-assing this, that's just what it is, you know?
Yeah.
But you did the work. You did what you were supposed to by giving them that assignment.
Man, I did the assignment, and I even posted it there. Literally, and some students, I'm not mad at it. Slide by slide, matched mine. Not mad at it. They all had different characters, so it's not going to be the same.
Right.
But like that's where it comes from being like a leader, right? I'm not going to tell you to do something that I can't do myself.
Right.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean?
Right. Exactly.
Yeah. So that was my example of like, okay, this is going to be hard, but I'm going to show you guys how to do it, because we did it the entire semester. Hey, Casey, fuck you, and fuck this stupid movie, and fuck this. That's fine.
I'll see you in another class.
I'll see you next semester.
Yeah. You know, and I think that goes into it, you know, where if you're you know, if you feel the world owes you something, that just because you showed up, you know, whether it's to class, whether it's to work or whatever, that you should be given whatever on the same basis as somebody who put the work in, you know, it's a problem. And you see it a lot in society
Mhm.
just because, we've all worked with that person that shows up for their 8-hour shift 10 minutes late and then leaves 10 minutes early and expects to get exactly the same treatment as a person that's working their ass off,
I feel seen.
Oh,
No, I'm just kidding.
Wow. But, it's like we've all put work in to get where we're at, and other people see us now and assume this is the way it's always been,
Mhm.
but I think really developing that true grit and that true persistence in, getting yourself up and putting the work in, putting together the office furniture yourself, because that's what it takes. Can't afford to hire people, I mean,
Right.
sweating and all.
Yeah.
Sweating and all in
Wow.
like fucking work clothes.
Yeah.
I'll never forget. And it was like,
Badass.
it was like at night too. And I was like, fuck, I want to go home.
Yeah.
But she was out there with her little hammer
Yep.
and like just getting it.
Wow.
I'll never forget that shit.
Shout out to her.
Yeah. Shout out Aaron Jones again.
What?
Love you.
Yeah.
But what do you guys think? Final thoughts. Final thoughts.
I think that you should definitely have somebody that's like a mentor or somebody you can look up to that, because I definitely would give people the blueprint. I'm not going to do the work for you.
Mhm.
You know what I mean? And then you have to respect my time too and what I'm putting in, because some people don't do that,
Yep.
and they like sometimes with free information, so to speak, or stuff like you take it advantage. No, like I soak that shit up. If
Yeah.
somebody really sit and take time to give me something, I take it and I run with it.
Mhm.
But I want people to know that there's a cost to being a boss, but make it a lesson and just run with it.
Yeah.
You're going to have that. And so I tell clients, make it a speed bump and not a roadblock.
Oh, I like that.
Nice.
I like that. What about you?
So, I would think before you set out to do something, finding out what you're willing to put in to get there.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Because if you're not willing to put in the work from the jump, same for you. Doesn't matter if it's school, doesn't matter if it's building a business, doesn't matter. If you are not motivated to put the work in, you should probably figure out something else to do, because anything worth doing is going to take a lot of work, and it's going to take sweat. It's going to take sacrifice. And if it's not a price you're willing to pay, it's not the right thing for you.
Absolutely.
That's good.
No
What you
final
think,
thoughts for
Casey?
me. I mean, gravitate to what's going to help push you.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
really what it is. Grab
Your why.
whatever it is, whether that be somebody in your life, somebody, a character that you read in a book, something, a song, whatever it is, spirituality, the universe, whatever you're going to gravitate to, hold on to that shit for dear life.
Yes.
And then just go to town.
Yeah.
I
that's
like
it.
that. Yeah.
Mhm. All right, guys. So
Let them
signing
know.
off.
All right. So thank you for joining us. Feel free to reach out with any questions, comments, or feedback, or even show ideas at the professors podcast at yahoo.com. Keep those downloads coming. You can find us on Spotify, iHeartRadio, and pretty much anywhere else you can find any podcasts.
Yeah.
Thanks for that, Mark. I was just going to tell them to not fuck with two of our things. Baby, that's our money and our D. So
Out.
bye-bye.